Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Taylorians, and all our online viewers. Today, we will be having a live session for the electoral speech and debate session for the President and Vice President candidates via the Taylor's University Student Council Facebook page and YouTube channel. I am Nadita, and alongside me, there is Mikal Maslan, and we will be moderating the electoral speech and debate session today.
Hello, my name is Mikal, and I am the current president of Taylor's University Student Council 21-22.
Once again, I am Nandita, the Vice President of TUSC for the term 21-22. Now that we are almost commencing to the upcoming term, the electoral speech and debate session would be for the upcoming term of Taylor's University Student Council's representative for the year 2022-2023.
For the first session, it will be between the candidates running for the president position, which are Sulaiman Mir and Yong Tung Jo. Sulaiman Mir, a second-year student in Bachelor of Computer Science. And we have Yong Tung Jo in his penultimate year in Bachelor of Information Technology. We will kickstart today's session with a humble introduction by both candidates, starting with Sulaiman. Sulaiman, the floor is now yours.
All right. Thank you very much, Mikal. Greetings to the moderators, as well as all the Taylorians watching. I'd like to express my gratitude to TUSC for providing me a platform for the speech tonight during the speech and debate week. In the next few minutes, I will be covering 3 key topics. Firstly, about myself, then about my exposure and experience, and I'll finish with my goals and plans for the upcoming term. So, hi everyone, I'm Syed Salman Ali Mir, but you can call me Sulaiman Mir. I'm a fellow Taylorian, and as you know, I'm running to be your next student council president for Taylor's University. Currently, I'm 18 years old and about to start my second year pursuing a bachelor's degree in computer science. I'm very humbled to be able to run for the position of president, and it is only because of the trust and support given to me by my fellow council members that has allowed me to reach the stage where I can speak to you all tonight. Most of you know me, but for the benefit of all, let me describe key attributes of my personality using 3 Ds. D1, determined, as I set goals and work hard to achieve them. D2, decisive, as I weigh the pros and cons to make decisions quickly and effectively. D3, dedicated, as I devote time and energy to complete my tasks and fulfill my responsibilities. Now, I'll be sharing about my exposure and experiences, starting with my first organizing committee experience, which was during my foundation year at Taylor's College. I joined the organizing committee for Taylor's Interfaculty Games 2020 as a design team member. Through working on the project, I realized my interest in working alongside like-minded and goal-targeted individuals to achieve more together. There was a sense of camaraderie and collaboration that I had never felt before. So when I was transitioning to university, I knew I wanted to expand my extracurricular activities to gain more experience and knowledge. First, I joined Taylor's Chess Club as a design director, where I learned and executed promotion strategies, as well as helped plan one of the biggest post-pandemic physical chess tournaments in Malaysia. I also joined Taylor's Model United Nations as an HR committee member, where I learned to manage the membership base of the club, organize welcoming sessions for new members, as well as plan ex-community bonding sessions. And I also joined Taylor's University Student Council as a committee member in campus welfare. Being part of campus welfare, I learned how to advocate Taylorians' voices and provide constant updates on student welfare matters and resolutions to all Taylorians. I took full advantage of my year in TUSC, giving my full attention and focus on all my roles for each event. In our past events, I have been the assistant project manager, head of secretary, head of logistics, head of moderators, and head of public relations. Additionally, I volunteered at any opportunity to assist another department or event for the experience and knowledge. I have connected with students from various backgrounds, and overall, grown and developed a lot. Combined, the three roles have taught me a diverse set of knowledge on how to manage a student organization. And I'd like to thank everyone who I have worked with for their confidence and encouragement allowing me to achieve what I have. It has given me the confidence to do more and support others. As a true lifelong learner, I'm excited to see what new challenges and learning opportunities lie ahead in the upcoming term. Moving on, I'd also like to acknowledge the wonderful job the current term, 21-22, has done over the last year. Being part of this term has given me the knowledge and confidence to run for president and lead the council for the upcoming 22-23 term. A key difference between the current and upcoming term will be the transition to fully physical events. This will be in line with how classes are almost fully physical and students are returning to campus. As such, the Student Council should organize all events to be held physically, returning to the pre-pandemic normal. For this, the current term has begun the transition by successfully hosting 4 physical events and initiatives in our term, which have taught us a lot and emboldened us for the future. Speaking of the future, I'd like to move on to the final part of my speech. My goals and plans for the upcoming term to take our Student Council to the next level. Starting with connecting Tellurians. Throughout my term, I want to instill in all Tellurians a sense of belonging to the greater community of Taylor's University. I plan to do this by organizing events and initiatives with the goal of bonding Taylorians across schools and faculties to create a sense of belonging and community, allowing connections to be made regardless of which degree you're pursuing or which school you are in. As students return to campus, it is the council's responsibility to ensure that we can bring back the Taylorian energy and provide platforms for students to create possibly lifelong friendships. Moving on, volunteer initiatives. As I have mentioned, being part of various clubs and societies over the past year, I learned a lot about event planning and execution. However, joining clubs and societies is a daunting task for most Taylorians who may want to experience the same growth, but are uncertain of their ability to commit for a whole year as an effective member. That is where these volunteer initiatives that I'm suggesting will come in. This will allow students to work alongside TUSC committee members in specific roles for select events, providing students an opportunity to experience the process of planning and executing events. With this, I hope we can all learn, grow, and develop together. Next, a university-wide signature event. This would be a multiple-day event on campus to celebrate and recognize Taylorians. It'll be in partnership with various clubs and societies where they can choose to participate by performing or displaying their club's unique identity. Utilizing our campus facilities and our diverse clubs and societies, I believe we can create a truly unforgettable experience for Taylorians. This would be a big step to bringing back the energy back on campus. Last but definitely not least, council awareness. As I have noticed, many Taylorians are unaware of what TUSC does. Those students also don't know where to go in case they have any issue or concern regarding the campus facilities, mode of teaching, learning, or any other issue. That is why in the upcoming term, I plan to boost the awareness of TUSC among Taylorians. I believe this can be achieved by increasing our physical presence on campus, as well as by making them relate and connect with the council. Taylorians should welcome TUSC and trust us with their issues and concerns. That wraps up my manifesto. To me, reliability and honesty is extremely important, and I would hate to let you guys down. I do not want to promise glamorous, infeasible goals just to get the position and not follow through with them. The goals I have stated are practical and realistic, which can be achieved with a determined, decisive, and dedicated president, leading an effective executive committee. So, thank you very much for your time and attention. You can check out my candidate poster on TUSC's Instagram, and you can learn more about me on my LinkedIn, which you can find in TUSC's Instagram bio. I'll pass it back to Mikhail. Thank you guys for listening.
All right, thank you so much, Suleiman, for that lovely speech. Without further ado, let us now welcome our next candidate, Yong Tung Jo, to give us his introductory speech and what he stands for. All right, Tung Jo, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you, Nandita. Before I begin, I would like to wish my fellow candidate, Suleiman, all the best in your campaign and good luck as well. Yep. Greetings to all Taylorians. My name is Tung Jo, currently entering my second year studying Bachelor of Information Technology. I am 21 this year, and I'll be running for the position of President for the term TUSC 2022-2023. The reason I am running for this position is mainly I am eager and determined to make a change and a positive environment for Taylor's University Lakeside campus. To introduce myself a little bit to the spectators watching, I've always been an outgoing person and I always enjoy different experience to try out various kinds of things. Before joining Taylor's, never have I thought that I will join a student body like TUSC, let alone running a campaign for the position of president, as I was one who did not dare to dream nor try leadership roles. However, I felt that I needed a change, which I had gathered courage enough to join TUSC to further improve myself as a person and to assist in the community, Taylor's community, any way possible. Through my time in campus welfare department of TUSC, I have learned a lot through my time. But for me, that was not enough, and I really wish to help TUSC further improve as a student body, alongside with the committee members and the new exco buildees. It is in my wish to make TUSC strive higher than ever. As you may have seen in my manifesto, I have 3 important goals that I really wish to achieve in my upcoming term. Firstly, to provide more opportunities for all Taylorians to gain more experience in different fields, and also to showcase all their talents, ideas, and more. To explain further, I believe Taylorians have their own respective talents or ideas, but they may not have the specific platform where they can showcase on, or simply, they might not have discovered their talents yet. So, in my upcoming term, if I do become the president, it is in my high wish that a platform can be provided for Taylorians to gain more experience in different fields and also to allow my fellow Taylorians to discover their hidden talents, gain more rich ideas, and also to explore further in Taylor's University. I guarantee more opportunities to be provided to all Taylorians. Furthermore, it is in my hopes that a more accessible platform can be provided for Taylorians to voice their concerns. This is to ensure that all Taylorians are well taken care of, as I believe the welfare of the students is definitely one of the most important things. In my time in class welfare, I have learned that students may have a lot of concerns and they may not have the most accessible platform where they can reach out to. So, by providing a more accessible platform for Taylorians to voice their concerns, this eases the complexity in voicing their concern so that the voice of the Taylorians can be heard easily. Thus, a better campus life for all Taylorians. For this, I ensure that the voice of the Taylorians will be heard, and I will absolutely do my best in providing a better campus life for everyone. Last but not least, I hope to assist in establishing connections in preparation for Taylorians for their future, as I believe that connections is one of the most important factors when it comes to looking for work after university. One of the examples in this is a past event called Techstar Startup Weekend, where business idea will be pitched and there will be mentors there to assist you. I believe this was a great exposure and a great experience. And I really wish to provide more opportunities such as this to all Taylorians. Lastly, throughout my 1 year in TUSC, I have always been determined and motivated to give my 100% for the council, for the Taylor's community, and my fellow council members, as I always want to help out my fellow council members in the various events that TUSC organizes and to give the Taylor's community the best out of TUSC. If you have the same vision or the same beliefs as me, or perhaps on the same path on where I'm moving forward to, do it for me. That's all for me. My name is Tungjo. Thank you, everyone. Together, we move forward. That's all for me. Thank you. Back to you, Nandita.
Thank you, Tungjo, for the wonderful introductory speech. To all the live viewers out there watching at home, if you would like to find out more about these candidates, to know more about their manifestos and what they are fighting for, please visit our Instagram page at Taylor's Uni SC, where you may find all relevant information regarding their election campaign, including their detailed manifestos, are displayed for all Taylorians to view. Without wasting any more time, let us move on to the most awaited part of the session, the debate session. For context, the candidates were given a debate topic 1 day prior to them to prepare 1 day ahead to provide their stand. So today's debate topic for the presidential candidates is, as the highest elected council officer, encompassing vast responsibility, how would you take a big step in the right direction to ensure integration of minority groups into the larger Taylorian community? In what ways will you look beyond your bubble of knowledge and understanding to initiate change within and outside of the council that embodies the needs of the current student community. Let us hear from Suleiman on his stance and take on the debate topic for today. Suleiman, the
Alright.
floor is yours.
All right, thank you, Mikhail. So I think the debate topic is a great topic and it covers a lot of bases. So firstly, I think it can be broken down into two parts. The first is the integration of minority groups in the larger Tailorean community. And the second subtopic could be, in my eyes, is the looking beyond your personal knowledge and how you can bring and initiate change that students want and students need, right? So in my opinion, for integration of minority, whether it's minorities could be by race, by religion, by ethnicity, or any other characteristic. Integration can be done by one initiative, which is providing them opportunity, which is opportunity to connect, opportunity to be around people who are in the same minority group as them, or even in the majority group, allowing them to make connections and no longer feel isolated or feel like they're in the minority and just feel like they're part of everyone, right? So that is providing them opportunity. And you can't just provide them opportunity alone. You need to provide them support, not support necessarily, more like guide them, help them wherever they need. And it has to be a proactive approach of support. It can't be reactive, because people who feel like they're the minority, they won't want to come forth and ask for help because they won't be sure if they would receive that help or not. So the help has to be proactive and not reactive. Other than that, we also should make anyone, despite whether they're minority, majority, but despite their race, religion, ethnicity, they should feel welcome as part of the Taylorian community. And in my experience, as someone who could be viewed as a minority in some situations, Taylorians are generally very welcoming, very nice, but they just need an opportunity to connect and talk and welcome these minority groups in. So welcoming. And then thirdly, I think as TUSC, we can provide immersive experiences. So we can organize events, initiatives to bring in, like whether it's minority, majority, irrelevant of who they are, just bring together Taylorians in an immersive experience where they can bond despite whoever they are, whatever they are, right? And then after that, I think the final step on integration is just to continue that. It can't be a one-off initiative, can't be a one-off event where it's just one go and then they feel like they're starting to, be included, be no longer be secluded or from the community. They start feeling like they're part of the Taylorian community, and then it's just gone. So we need to it's a constant effort of just making people feel supported, welcome, and immersed in the Taylorian community. Now, moving on to the second part that I broke down, which is the looking beyond your bubble of knowledge. I think for me personally, as I mentioned before, as a lifelong learner, I think you can only be limited by your bubble of knowledge is if you think that you know best. And when you think you know best or you know everything, then you stop listening to everyone else. And not to delve too deep, but that's usually tends to be due to ego, where you think that you're better than everyone else or you know more. So for me, what I try to do is I try to listen. And I think to really answer this, looking beyond your bubble of knowledge is to always listen. As the president of student council or as any person in the council or even outside the council, is just to always listen and be willing to take on new opinions, new thoughts, and just be ready to grow. So for me, where that relates to the addressing the current needs of the student community is I'd suggest to listen to student suggestions and requests. So this is beyond what we currently have, which is a feedback and inquiries form, which is more for issues and concerns, which has its own place and it's important in its own right. But to gauge the current needs of students, I think we need to have, again, a proactive approach by reaching out, by finding what students need. So this can be done through like suggestion box or by forming student think groups or anything, and trying to listen and find out what students actually want. So to conclude, for the second point, I think it's about listening to students and taking those suggestions in, considering them, and then trying to make that change happen. That's all for me. I'd love to hear what Joe thinks.
All right, thank you so much, Suleiman. So we'll now pass the floor to Tungjo to give his stance on the topic today. Tungjo, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you, Mikhail. Okay, so for me, as the highest elected council office encompassing vast responsibility, I believe it is in my highest responsibility to ensure that all Taylorians are involved in the Taylorian community, regardless of their races, religions, or ethnicity. It is in my hopes that everyone can integrate and bond together as Taylorians and as a whole. I believe there are few methods and ways that this can be approached by. Firstly, I believe it is rather important to emphasize on the personal engagement to allow Taylorians to know how important it is their participation is to our events and activity. And for that, I believe it is very important to reach the minority groups of Taylorians physically and both virtually. Furthermore, I believe some of the events and activities may just not be of their interest. So I feel that to have different categories of events or activities to attract the minority group of Taylorians, which can be also brought together into the larger Taylorian community. And one other method I would say is that by having a year-long series of events, it also brings the whole community engaged throughout the year, whether it be minority or majority, with all kinds of events such as sports, chess, even study-related kind of thing, where we'll also be with that, it can keep the students, majority or minority, engaged and come together as much as possible. Also, we also may have surveys to determine on what sort of events or activities they would like to see organized by TUSC, because I believe that the voice of the Taylorians matter, and whether it be majority or minority, I believe that what they think is always important. So we can determine what kind of activity most of the people would prefer, or even a small group of people prefer, because with that, we can have a long series of events where we have different sort of events just to come together, where they can just come together and collaborate, or even like just have fun. So that's for my first point. Moving on for the second point regarding I believe it was the bubble of knowledge. Personally, I've always been a person who has always been eager to learn more, as I'm always open for opinions and suggestions, because I believe that one can never learn too much, because you can always learn more and further on anything. So looking forward, I believe there are also some methods for this. By collaboration with different clubs and societies in Taylors would be one way where I think I will be able to understand how different clubs and societies or student bodies work, and just a way to exchange and understand different cultures for the betterment of both club and society or student bodies. In that way, it also allows everyone to bond and connect, and just to get to know each other more. From there, we'll be able to notice on where we may be able to improve as well as the other. Alongside, it is also of importance that student council as a whole should come together as a unit internally, as a family, to determine how to make the current student community better as fellow Taylorians together. Not only that, to collaborate with external student councils to hear on their opinions on how different student bodies handle different situations in their respective university. And from that, we can always gain different insights and views on how issues can be tackled in different ways, and also how to make the current student community better than it is now. So from those few methods, I believe internally, externally, there is few ways that student community can be done better. Yeah, that's all for me. Thank you. I'll pass it back to the moderator.
All right, thank you so much, Tungjo. Suleiman, we'll now go to you. You can either address the points said by Tungjo earlier, or you may continue explaining your stance on the issue.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Mikhail. So I think you mentioned, Joe, just to go back on what you said, you mentioned doing like a form or asking students what they think. So in my past experience, students, they tend to, there's a lot of them won't participate in the form because they would rather see you come up with a creative idea or a creative event rather than, they tell you what to do and then you kind of execute on that. How would you, A, ensure that, as students actually fill it in, B, actually ensure that's what a lot more students want, because they could just be a vocal minority or vocal small group of students who that's maybe what they want, but the rest of the Taylorians won't participate. That's not what they want. So those are my 2 points. Could you kind of clarify on those, please?
Okay.
Tungjo, over to you.
All right. Thanks, Suleiman, for the question. Okay, to explain further on my points, how to make Taylorians answer on the form. Firstly, I believe that the simplicity of the form is very important because if the form may be too complex, it won't allow people to fill in the form. That is one. Okay. And to have the form ready, it is very important to have the help of other student bodies or other public societies to collaborate with us. Because I understand that it just might be a minority of corporate society or the students to help out on that. But I believe with the help of corporate society and student bodies as a whole, and to make everything come together, it is possible to have the whole Taylorians to physically fill out the form instead of just sending out the form virtually and expecting people to fill out. We also, one example is that you can always approach Taylorians in campus and ask them to fill in the form. And just to explain further a bit, for example, you can always come to for example, in Shops Mall, you can just approach them and explain what this form is. It allows them to understand the purpose of this form and furthermore, and after they understand the form, the meaning of the form, I believe it will further explain why this form matters so that you explain the purpose on why we need this form for our upcoming events for future purposes. So yeah, hope I answered your question, Suleiman.
All right, thank you, Tungjo. Suleiman, I'll pass it back to you if you'd like to address any of the points said by Tungjo.
No, can I continue with some more ideas that I have?
Please, go ahead.
All right, so I think something that wasn't mentioned in integration of minority is integration is important, but students should also, first of all, feel welcome within Taylors. So speaking more towards international students, I think over the last year or over the COVID-19 pandemic, as there were lockdowns, a lot of the international student societies were either disbanded or too inactive for the members to stay engaged. I think that is something as student council president, it's a responsibility and something that you can change, where you can find students to bring those clubs back to life and bring them back to being active, because international student societies play an important role for those minority students who are coming from a different country, because they may feel like they might want to engage with people that back home. It reminds them of the culture of their people. So, and that's something that was lost due to the pandemic, because that was lost because of the pandemic, because during the pandemic, the purpose of this international students society, which is like for students to feel like they're still back home even when they're in Malaysia, doesn't really stick, because most students were already back home. So that's why a lot of those students societies didn't really make it. So I think bringing those back to life is a crucial step that student council can assist in, so that when those international students can feel welcome. And this in turn can also bring them from the minority group and welcome them into the larger Tayloran community, because in all international student societies, there are a few handful of students who are integrated with the rest of the Tayloran community, so they can bring those international students and then they can venture them, they can introduce them to the wider community, and then they can make friends, they can make connections. And I think that is a very big step that student council can assist in. Back to you, Mikhail.
All right, thank you very much, Suleiman. I'll actually give an opportunity to Tungjo if you'd like to address any of the points said by Suleiman, or if you'd like to add on onto your stance on the issue.
Okay, just to add on for my point a little bit, is that okay? All right, okay. Regarding on the bubble of knowledge and understanding, as I mentioned just now, outside of council and to embody the need of current student community, I have another method on this is to mainly, we can always ask the whole corporate society or the student bodies to come together, and we can always address like issues or like what needs to be improved in Taylors. Because as important as it is, all Taylorians are equal, I believe, regardless of minority or majority, all Taylorians are equal. Everyone wants to make Taylors better. So it is very important, I believe it's important to come together as like corporate society or student bodies, regardless like anyone. It is very important to come together so that everyone can address on what can be improved as Taylorians as a whole. So I hope that this actually can come true in my upcoming term if I do become the president, because Taylors is one as a whole. And I believe that, yep, everyone should have one target, and it is to make the student community better than it is. Yep. Thanks it. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Tungjo, and thank you, Suleiman, as well, for explaining your stance on the issue. I'll actually pose a question to Suleiman. Suleiman, you mentioned a really good point regarding having proactive support and not reactive. Maybe you could give us some examples on what initiatives that you have in mind to fulfill this.
Okay, so I think one of the proactive supports we can do is right now when students join TUSC, not TUSC, when they join Taylor's University, they have 1 week of orientation where they go through so many things, and one of those things is Clubs and Societies Day. And from my past, from my friends, I've known that some of the people don't join because they're just not interested. They don't want to spend so much time, going through all those booths because it's a bit inconvenient for some people spending that much time and energy. I think a proactive approach we can take to support students is create a universal Clubs and Societies directory or Clubs and Societies pamphlet. Now, this doesn't have to be TUSC doing it alone. It can be a collaboration with orientation leaders or any other clubs and society, student body, which can assist students in identifying the clubs and societies that, align with their interests, because that is what clubs and societies are there for, is to connect people who have similar interests, whether it is interest which is popular in the majority or if it's a small niche interest. It's to connect those people so that they can be friends, they can learn from each other, they can connect. And I think that is a great example of a proactive approach we can take.
All right, thank you very much, Suleiman. Similarly, I'll actually pose a question to Tungjo. So Tungjo, you mentioned earlier that having year-long events will help bridge the gap between the minority and the larger community at Taylor's University. How would you ensure that the minority would actually want to participate in this event in the first place?
Okay, thank you, Mikhail, for the question. This goes back to the form that I brought up with just now. Actually, the form will be alongside that. We'll be asking questions like what they are interested in from Taylorians, like to see like what kind of event they want to see organized by TUSC, and to make sure that the minority group of Taylorians are participating. We'll actually go around Taylor's, like maybe going around campus, not this time with a form, maybe just asking around like, how are you doing so far in Taylor's? Like, are you bonding well? Just to make sure that everyone's doing good. And also, we always have a feedback inquiries form, and we can always promote that as well. Like if they have any concerns as well, and they always can put their concerns in, we can always promote that all time long, just to make sure that everyone is bonded well. And if they have any sort of concerns or issues, or if they are not having a good time in Taylor's, they can always put that in as well, alongside with the form that I mentioned just now, just to make sure that Taylorians are well integrated. And with the year-long events, there is always different sorts of events that I'm thinking about, different variety of activities. And if one thing that I'm thinking about is that for every few months, we can actually ask Taylorians like, is there any more activities you want to be participating in? And if there's any things that you would like to see improve, or like, do you wish to see anything that can be brought up as well? So yeah, just on the examples. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Tungjo and Suleiman. So for my last and final point, I'll just shift the perspective on the topic a little bit for today. So based on the debate topic that you may have heard just now, what are some changes that you would initiate within the council to help with the current student community? Maybe I can hear from Tungjo first.
All right, sure. Okay, what I would like to see initiate change within the council is the goals and target of the council members, because I believe that that's what make council strive and can benefits the Taylor's community, because I believe that before you initiate any sort of activities or events, firstly, the council needs to be a whole, as a unit, as a family, so that if I do become the president of TUSC, my first thing to do is to make sure that everyone is having the same goal, the same passion, and the same target, so that everyone is working towards the same path and nobody is left behind. And just to make sure, and we will be constantly having meetings and all, just to make sure that everyone is focused. And yep, I believe that will actually benefit the current student community.
Right. Thank you, Tung Jo. Over to you, Suleiman.
All right, thank you, Mika. So I think my approach on it would be slightly different. It wouldn't be really more about the council members changing within themselves. It would be more about listening to what the students want, kind of thing. So in my opinion, we can, as a council, we can be more aware of what students want. We can kind of, have a physical presence, kind of gauge what students want, what students need, and all those things. And from there, we can plan our events and initiatives in line with the students' need, what students need. So I think as a council, we can also speed up on our event and initiative planning so that the events that we plan are still relevant to students, and it doesn't take too long for the event to be planned and organized. So like maybe students are interested in something, and then we are planning that event, we're setting it up, and then students have moved on, kind of thing. So I think it's important for us to A, listen to what students want, and then B, act on it fast, but without sacrificing quality of the event or anything that we're doing. I hope that answers the question. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Suleiman, and thank you, Tung Jo, for giving your views on the topic today. So that wraps up the debate session for today for the presidential candidates. So to the viewers watching at home, there will be a Slido link sent in the chat box, regardless of where you're watching from, whether it be from Facebook Live or YouTube Live. So you may click onto the Slido link to drop your questions for the candidates. All right, so to the candidates, we'll just give you a couple of seconds before we actually start the Q&A session for today.
All right, hello again. So there are some questions in the Slido here. So I'll just direct the first question to the both of you. So we'll start with Suleiman. So the first question is, do you have any ideas as the president on how to improve the current feedback and inquiries form that we have in TUSC right now?
All right, so I think that's a great question, and I feel like I'm a great candidate to answer because I work closely with the FEF form as it's part of my upcoming event. So FEF, for those who don't know, it's a feedback and inquiries form, and its purpose is for Taylorians to fill in and inform us about any issues with their academics, with their camp facilities, environment, health, safety, anything related to Taylors. If they have any issues, they can send it to TUSC through the feedback and inquiries form. Now, having worked closely with the feedback and inquiries form and gone through it multiple times, what I would want to see changed as both a council member and as a Taylorian is for the form to be more streamlined. Now, in my opinion, to not go into too many details, I think the form requests for a bit too much of information, which it does help following up on the issue, but it turns off a few students who might want to just fill in their concern or might just want to have a quick way to inform about the concern rather than having to go through multiple pages. I understand the need for the form to be formal, because we can't just have a rant board where students just rant whatever they want and then move on. But it shouldn't be too formal to the point that students are not interested with filling up the forms. And what that would do, in my opinion, the worst part of that is that concerns and issues will not be raised up and they won't be addressed, which sacrifices the experience for all of the Taylorians. Yes, thank you.
All right, thank you, Suleiman, for your answer. Joe, you can give your answer for this question as well.
All right, thank you. Okay, that's a great question coming from the anonymous. Okay, also, as I am also from the campus software department, I have also worked closely with the feedback inquiries form because that's also actually one of the upcoming events that I'm part of. So my approach for that is actually, I will like to make the FEF form more accessible to all Taylorians, because I believe that if you do have any issues or problems, it is very important to know that, okay, there is this form, you should know where to find the form and to approach it. And I also agree with Suleiman's point on making it more simple, because actually we also thought that it is very complex to fill in all the information just to fill in issues. But I understand the formalness of the form. But my point is, to make it more accessible for all Taylorians. So some example is that lecturers, like for example, lecturers, we can also ask them to help promote the FEF form, like after class, like if you have any problems with the campus or classes, just you can always like let them know there is this feedback inquiries form, and you can just scan it and put in your information. Yep. As one example is like for freshies who just joined the Taylors, you can always let them know that there is this feedback and inquiries form, and let them know that where to access it, whether it be like TUSC IG, or now also we have our TUSC feedback form bunting, which is located in front of SLC, and alongside where we have feedback form located in campus everywhere. So yep. So my point here is to make the FPF form more accessible. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Suleiman and Joe, for your very in-depth answers. So the next question, I'd like to direct this question to Suleiman. So in your opinion, what's the biggest problem TUSC is facing at the moment, and how would you resolve this issue?
All right, I think that's a wonderful question. So I think TUSC as a whole is currently very experienced. We've gone through a year of planning events and organizing initiatives. So I think as a whole, there are no major issues, but since the question is biggest challenge, which I would say that is currently transitioning to physical events. And that is not just a challenge for TUSC. I believe that's a challenge for Taylors as a whole and all the clubs and societies within Taylors, and largely the whole world, I'd say. So as we're transitioning back to physical, we need to kind of not necessarily advise, but kind of need to relearn all the steps that we used to take for planning physical events. And I think that is something that we need to improve on. Now, how can I help on that is being part of other clubs and societies which have been going through this transition already, gives me various different outlooks on what problems can arise when planning physical events and how we can deal with them and address them in different ways. So I think for me, the experience is the key part. And other than that, I have a few seniors that I know who have planned a lot of physical events. Then I can always contact them, learn from them, and consult them on how things were pre-pandemic and how we can kind of go back to excelling at physical events like we used to in the past. I hope that answers the question. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, Suleiman, for that great answer. So now, Joe, back to you. So this question is asking, you said that you will be approaching students to explain the purpose of the feedback and inquiries form. Do you think that this is achievable? And is there any strategy that you would like to apply?
All right, thank you for the question. Yes, I believe that this is achievable, and I do have some strategy that I would like to apply. Why do I think this is achievable? Because I believe that a lot of people might understand what it is, but they don't know like how we are going to use this FPF form to bring it up to the management, or like where are we going to address the issues. So by explaining the purpose of where this FPF is going to go to, I believe they'll understand, and yep, they'll probably go more about it and understand the purpose of why this FPF form, or why are we promoting it. Strategy wise, I believe physical approach is definitely the best. And by doing that, because virtually you are just putting it on Instagram or any social medias, people will probably just take a look. But yep, definitely just that. But physical approach, I believe that if we talk about it physically and make it more interesting, and I believe that people will try to listen to it more and understand more about it, and they will try to understand where we are coming from as student council and why this FPF form is important. So my strategy wise is physical approach to the students and explain them in an interesting way that they understand what FPF form is. Yep.
Okay, thank you so much, Joe. So next is this question would be for Suleiman. So this question is asking, you stated that you are regarded as the minority. In what situation are you regarded as a minority? And maybe you can also define minority groups.
All right, so I think it's not really a lot of situations, but as an international student in Taylor's University, there are a lot of us, but there can be situations and scenarios where I could be identified as a minority because of my because of the country that I come from. But so going to the second part of the question, which was I could define minority. So in my opinion, a minority group is a group which is in smaller quantity than the majority, and they share qualities or traits, whether it's interests, beliefs, or anything that make them feel different or be different from the majority. But in my opinion, despite being minorities, at the end we're all humans, and we're all the same at the end of the day. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Suleiman. So this question will be for the both of you, but maybe Joe, you can answer first. So both of you are holding multiple positions in different clubs. How would you prioritize among your academic, TUSC, and your role in other clubs?
All right. Thank you for the question once again. For me personally, TUSC will definitely be my highest priority because I'm going to hold the highest position in TUSC. So TUSC is definitely will be my 100 highest priority. And other than that, other clubs and societies or studies definitely will be important. And I'll definitely give my best to other clubs as well. But TUSC, I'll definitely give my 200% as I'll be holding the highest position in TUSC. But not just that, also, I definitely will also do my best in other things such as my club and society and also my studies as well. So, yep.
All right. So just to rephrase could you please repeat the question, Nandita?
Yeah, sure thing. So it's mentioned here that both of you are holding multiple positions in different clubs. So how would you prioritize among your academic, TUSC, and role in other clubs?
All right, thank you. It's a great question. So I'll be frank with you, and I think the answer would be the same for everyone in Taylor's. Academics is our priority. That is why we are at Taylor's University. But I think you can't just have one direction and one focus in your life. You always have to have a balance. You can't just be always studying or just 100% on studying. So I think for me, the balance is studies, extracurriculars, family, and just managing all of those things. And so priority wise, it would be academics, student council, and other ex-BOD positions. Now, going on to the first part of the question, which is multiple BOD positions. So currently I have a few, but most of them are about to, I'm going to end my term soon. And if elected president, I would be just in 2 clubs and societies, which would be student council and one other ex-BOD position. Now, in the other one, I already shared my possible intentions or possible desires to go for a higher position, go for more responsibilities in TUSC. So they are already aware of my, what I plan to do, and they're okay with me balancing both. And of course, as student council president, like Joe said, you have to give it your full attention. But the point where I differ a bit from Joe is I think it's too much to expect from the president to do everything himself or herself. It's about having a supportive and cooperative executive committee that can balance each other out. If the president is busy, then the vice president is ready to step up. The secretary, the treasurer are all ready and supporting each other to make it so it's not too much burden on one person, and they can balance their academics and TUSC all at the same time. So I hope that answers the question, and it was a great question. Thank you very much.
All right, great answers from the both of you. So this next question as well will go to the both of you, and again, we'll start off with Joe. So in a situation where you can only choose between the welfare of students and the welfare of your council, which one would you prioritize? Joe, you may answer if you're ready.
Oh, sorry. Oh, that's me. All right. Okay. As the president of Student Council TUSC, I definitely will try to prioritize the welfare of students because TUSC is serving the Taylorians as a whole. But also, I would not like to just draw a line there and disregard of the welfare of the council. I will definitely do my best to take care of the welfare of the council as well. But when it comes to prioritizing, I do not like to draw a line between them too much because I believe that welfare of the councils is as important as the welfare of the students because council is part of Taylor's as well. So I would not exactly try to draw a line between them and try to come a solution where both sides are well prioritized, and just to make sure that both sides is happy and the solutions is definitely there out there. Yep, just to make sure that both sides is all prioritized, not just one side. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Joe. Suleiman, you may give your take on this question as well.
Okay, I think it's so the question, if I remember correctly, was would I balance the council's welfare or the students' welfare? I think it both go hand in hand. Managing the council's welfare and the students' welfare are both things you can't focus on one without doing the other. And at the end of the day, council members are also students. So I think I will try to give a proper answer, which would be to students' welfare is our goal, and it's what we strive to do, especially the campus welfare department. But I think it's about creating balance. Again, like in life, most things are about a balance. So you can't sacrifice too much of council's welfare just for student welfare, but you can't sacrifice student welfare for council's welfare. You have to balance those. And in my opinion, it would be more weighted towards students' welfare because it's our responsibility to ensure students' welfare and assist them wherever we can. Even if that means like a slight sacrifice on our end as the council. I hope that answers the question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much to the both of you for your answer. So the next question will go to Joe. So in a situation when it comes to handling international students, do you think Suleiman will be more reliable and will make a better decision for them?
Okay, thank you for the question once again. Even though that I may not be an international student and a local student, I don't doubt Suleiman's ability or capability or making a decision for them. But I also believe that I am also reliable and make a good decision for them because I always try to understand where they're coming from and any issues they're facing. I can always try to handle them as well. One example is that I have various international friends as well, and they sometimes come to me to handle any issues. And I always just give my opinion as a council member, regardless of nationality. If they have any international students, like if they have any issues, they can always come to me as well. And I will just give my absolute help in helping them in all the issues they are facing. So I don't believe that regardless of my nationality, local or international, I will definitely do my best in helping them. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Joe. That was a great answer. So the next question will go to Suleiman. So every year, many international students come to Taylor's and have many visa-related issues. How would you help them?
Okay, I think so. Visa is a very formal and important part, especially for international students, because it dictates their stay, whether they can stay in Malaysia and their security. So I think visa is a very important thing. We are slightly limited on what we can do because it's managed by the management. But I think a couple of initiatives we can take is again informing students, creating an FAQ sort of thing on how because a lot of the visa issues are common things which a lot of students face. So we can create a sort of frequently asked questions for students to kind of guide them through what problem they're having and then how they can resolve that problem, which party and which part of management they should approach, how they should resolve their issue. So that is one, the FAQ. Other than that, I think campus welfare from TUSC can raise up and try and discuss with management on easing the process of student visas and supporting students in issues and concerns and kind of bringing the visa issue to more forefront for international office because visa is a crucial part of international students visit in Malaysia and stay in Malaysia. So I hope that answers the question.
All right. So this will be the last question. And this question is actually from me. So maybe Joe, you can answer first. So both of you touched a lot on how the minority groups include international students. However, minority groups include other categories as well. For example, students with disabilities. So how would TUSC acknowledge and help these students within the same minority group as well?
Okay, thank you for the question, Anita. For this, I actually believe that there is actually club societies such as peer counseling buddies or any like similar things as well. They actually help out a lot in like students, minority students like disability. We can also help out on that as well to help them any on their difficulties they are facing. And also us as student council, if we got note that there is students who is facing difficulties, like people who have disabilities, will also definitely be there to help them as much as possible. And also, this is something that we can definitely take note of. Yes, that's a very good question, Anita. And just to further elaborate a little bit, and yep, so for different sorts of minority groups, aside from disabilities, we'll also definitely try to contact with different corporate society that's helping minority groups that is from overseas or such as that. We will need to help them out as much as possible. So yep, that's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joe. That was a great answer. So Suleiman, you can provide your take as well.
All right, I think it's a great observation on minority students including handicapped individuals. So I think as student council, we can, beyond what Joe suggested, connecting with peer counseling buddies, I think we can also consult with management on trying to go through the campus and make it more wheelchair friendly and friendly for handicapped individuals or physically disabled or any sort of minority group. So it goes back to making the campus more welcoming and allowing more and more students to be able to be welcome on campus. I think other than peer counseling buddies, there's also the Center for Counseling Services, which does support students who are suffering from any sort of issues, or whether it's I think mental health. I'm not sure if that falls under minority groups, but a small group of students do go through with that. And I think as council, one of the biggest responsibilities we have is to raise awareness and inform students about the facilities that are aware. And if the facilities are not aware, we need to raise that awareness to management and kind of make that available for students, or try our best to make that happen. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, Suleiman and Joe. So that ends the Q&A session. Now I'll pass the floor back to Mika.
All right, thank you, Nandita. Thank you, Suleiman and Tungjo, for the wonderful Q&A session. So thank you to all the people that have input their questions today. Unfortunately, that marks the end of the Q&A session today for Suleiman and Tungjo. But before we move on to the speech and debate session for the vice president position, we will wrap up the presidential speech and debate session with Suleiman and Tungjo giving their final words before voting starts at the end of this week. So we'll start with Suleiman first. Suleiman, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you very much, Mikhail. So once again, thank you all for your time and attention. I'd like to mention that I may be the one running for the position, but the goals I have stated can only be achieved with your support and assistance. Without students, there is no student council and no student council president. My responsibility, if elected, will be to provide the platforms for us to develop and grow together. I am determined, decisive, dedicated, and ready to serve all Tellurians. With that said, vote for Suleiman Mir so we can achieve more together.
Thank you so much, Suleiman, for your speech, and wishing you a great campaign ahead. I will now pass the floor to Tungjo to give his closing speech. Over to you, Tungjo.
All right, thank you, Mikhail. Hello, everyone. My name is Tungjo. Before I proceed, I would like to say my thanks to those that have been supporting me, and I greatly appreciate. I will now not be where I am now without the supports. Thank you very much, everyone. Just to touch up on what I said just now, my goal in my president term, if I do get it, I wish to provide more opportunities for our Tellurians to gain more experience, and also for them to showcase their talents as well. And for that as well, I also hope that a more accessible platform can be provided for Tellurians to voice their concerns, and also for them to establish connections in preparation of the future for Tellurians. And if I do get a position, I will really do my absolute best in achieving my goals and furthermore as well. If you have the same vision and the same belief as me, or perhaps on the same path on where I'm moving forward to, do vote for me. That's all for me. My name is Tung Jo. Thank you, everyone. Together, we move forward.
Thank you so much, Tung Jo, for your closing speech, and thank you, Suleiman, as well. We wish you all the best in your campaigns moving forward. To wrap things up for the presidential session, I'll now pass the floor to Nandita.
All right, thank you so much, Mikal. So that is all for the electoral speech and debate session for the presidential candidates, Suleiman and Tung Jo. It was indeed an insightful debate session, and I'm sure it helped Taylorians understand their representatives better and to cast their votes accordingly when the voting commences. On the 26th of August, which is this Friday, up till the 2nd of September 2022. We will now take a short break before continuing with the electoral speech and debate session for the Vice President candidate. The short break will take place now, and we will see you all later at 9:10 p.m. Thank you.
Welcome back, everyone. For the next session, it will be for the candidates running for the position of Vice President, which are Elisha Paulraj and Ludwina Rumwat. Elisha Paulraj, a second-year student in Accounting and Finance. And we have Ludwina Rumwat entering her second year in Biomedical Science.
We will start off this session with a humble introduction by both candidates. We will start with Elisha. Elisha, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Hey, Delorians. Thank you for staying in to watch this speech and debate session. My name is Elisha Paulraj, and I'm currently in my second year doing accounting and finance. I'm running to be your vice president here at TUSC, and that means I'm running to be your teammate in making the university a better place. Let me begin by wishing my friend Ludwina the best of luck for this speech and debate session. I have had past experiences in leading events, clubs, throughout my high school, and also in my pre-university studies. But I don't want to spend time here listing them out. Let me tell you why I am here. Why am I here? I'm standing here today because I want to give back to the university and to all the students that have helped move me forward. And that is the reason I'm seated here today, to give back to the university and to give back to you. Before I start talking about what I will do if elected, let me just first say that the current team has set a high bar with their standard and quality of work. However, due to the conditions under which we are going to be moving forward, where everyone is returning back to campus, the bar we need to set and the challenges that we'll have to face would be completely different. All our departments will have to look into events, projects that will aid students with an easy transition. Be it a social bonding event, a welfare event, or even a networking event, they would all have to address the question of how we engage with the physical audience and the many questions that follows that. Essentially, we have a blank canvas. And what does this mean for us? This means that the challenges that we will face in TUSC will be totally different from whatever we are used to. And therefore, we must have flexibility in the things we do moving forward. That is why I'm pledging here to help create and provide students with a seamless transition back to physical learning. When I first returned to physical classes in March, let me say I was lost, I felt lonely, as the whole campus felt very new to me. I wasn't used to this new environment I was in. I did not feel comfortable at all approaching anyone to talk to because it was all so new. And I believe this will be the case for most students returning to campus for the first time in the coming weeks. That is why I believe that the team here at USC will have to firstly emphasize providing a space for all students to adapt to a very different lifestyle and environment that we are living in. This firstly can be done by slowly introducing them to all the information that we have regarding our university. And this will help students not to feel so overwhelmed by the sudden changes and added information. I will also work with the team here at Council to organize physical events that are fun, easy, and that aims to help integrate students into our campus. One such event that I have in mind is a cultural team event where people from different clubs, societies, just get to come together, embrace the different cultures we have here at Taylor's. We are diverse. We need to be proud of this diversity and we need to embrace it because strength lies in our differences, not only in our similarities. Secondly, we need to be the voice for all Taylorians. As a council, we need to make sure students feel heard, respected, represented, regardless of their gender, race, and sexual orientation. If students are unable to make themselves heard, and if no opportunities are provided to hear what they have to say, let me just say we are not doing what we have to do. Only by knowing what students want will we be able to bring up these issues to management for discussions towards improving our campus experience. Also, as international students will be returning back to campus and as they adapt to a new environment, there will surely be challenges that they need to address and we need to hear their voices. I want to be able to have TUSC as a body that is able to be approached by anyone who is facing problems. We may not always be able to solve all the problems that you have, but what we can promise is to always be there to hear your voices. That's why I'm also pledging to present better opportunities to engage with students. This can be done by improving on the readily available student assembly we host here at TUSC, where we engage with students on the problems they face and work together with them to find the solutions for these problems. Thirdly, I also want to look at providing an experience where the students are able to live their best university experience. Because who here doesn't want to enjoy your university life? Who here doesn't want to leave your time on campus doing something that makes you happy? That is why I believe that we at Council need to provide students with the ability to live out their best university life. We at Council must work with all clubs and societies to provide a safe space for all students to enlarge their social circles. Once a person feels safe, trust me, they will always have a sense of belonging and they will feel included. To conclude, come approach me if you have any ideas on how we can make the university a better place to be in for everyone. I personally was brought up to believe that change begins with what we do. So use your chance, vote EP for VP. Let's build and change and build a stronger university for us and also for the future. I'm Elisha Paulraj and I'm your candidate for Vice President. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Elisha, for that fine and lovely introduction. Without further ado, let us welcome the next candidate, Ludwina, to give us her introductory speech and what she stands for. Ludwina, the floor is all yours.
All right, thank you, Nandita. Greetings to everyone who are currently watching the speech and debate day for TUSC elections from 2022-2023. No matter where you are now, be it at home, campus, or wherever it is, I hope that you've had a great time so far getting to know each candidate's manifestos. I am Ludwina Rumot, also known as Wina. I'm turning 18 and will be entering my second year of biomedical science. Now I'm currently running to be DOR, next Vice President of Taylor's University Student Council for the term 2022-2023. From my 2 years so far in Taylor's, having been in Taylor's College for foundation course and completing my first year in Taylor's Uni for biomedical science, joining events and holding positions in clubs such as being the former president of Taylor's College Student Council and being the current president of Taylor's University School of Biosciences Club, also known as TUSC, and much more, I've realized the importance of student representation. Knowing this, I wanted to continue to serve the Taylorians, to prioritize everyone's welfare and work towards the best campus life. Standing here today, though virtually, I'm truly grateful to have been given the opportunity to continue on with this goal. I want students to be able to view Taylor's as a home and as a welcoming family. Going to university is much more than graduating, much more than just sitting in class, or for some of us, still opening Zoom or Microsoft Teams and listening to lectures. Being in your university is filled with your welfare, your integration, and all the friendships, hardships, and life lessons that you can achieve along the way. Thus, in order to reach such heights, I aim to focus on 3 things as you all may have previously seen in the TUSC Instagram page. These include being inclusive by embracing unity in diversity, and by reaching out for awareness, and finally, becoming a solution-centric council. To elaborate further, first, being inclusive by embracing unity in diversity. Let me ask all of you, dear Taylorians, to think about what it's like in your classes. Are there numerous people who come from different religions, races, ages, geographic backgrounds, or sexualities? Do you notice even the slightest gap between them and the entire group? As a person who would consider herself to be a part of the minority, both as an international student from Indonesia and in terms of age, I do realize this gap and how unfortunate it is to not be able to communicate with my fellow coursemates the way one would have wished for, and how upsetting it is to see people feeling the same isolation. Thus, I would like to celebrate and showcase the diversity here in Taylor's through means of events, while also ensuring the integration and union of all students. Turn something that may be viewed as different, often discriminatory, into something that unites us all. Besides this, I would like to provide support to international students. The 16-year-old Wina who moved to Malaysia over a year ago definitely came across issues with visa renewal, travel documents, accommodation, vaccination, and I just can't imagine how much more problems an international student could possibly go through. With such great support by having information booklets, including all the necessary contacts and information which international students or even local students can refer to, would be of much help. My second manifesto, reaching out for awareness, means that I will strive to make TUSC an approachable platform to expose students with our presence. Why is this important, you may ask? Well, by reaching out to students for awareness, we'll be able to make use of our platform and expose students to the various experiences and opportunities available both within Taylor's and also to connect with people and organizations externally. We can also prioritize the welfare of students by making the services provided in Taylor's University known. How many of you here know about SRWM, SSCC, and SWCM meetings where TUSC along with TCSC and PGSC raise your concerns to the management? Or how many of you are aware that TUSC has a feedback and inquiries form in preparation for SRWM that we encourage you to fill to highlight your issues? What about the very existence of Taylor's peer counseling service? Now, I know a few of the aforementioned abbreviations may sound intimidating, but the lack of awareness on these available services is the very reason why I wish to expand TUSC's platform and make great use of it so that students know just how much we care about the students' welfare. I certainly won't deny the fact that having experience on campus, like going to events or competitions, may contribute tremendously towards your campus life. However, I wish everyone would realize that their own well-being is just as important. Achieving goals and achievements are meaningless if you have to be put into an environment where you're not safe in or where you don't feel comfortable in, if you view university as nothing more than just an obligation. Because at the end of the day, you come before anyone else and your welfare is of most importance. And lastly, I wish to make the council a solution-centric council where students do not only simply voice out their concerns, but ensuring that these concerns are raised and amplified and acted upon. Solutions should be envisioned to these very concerns and most importantly, to ease students throughout the transition from online to physical settings. Now that more classes and even exams are becoming physical. All things considered, with my vision, experience, and passion, I shall try my best to strive for the betterment of the council and for students of Taylor's University. Once again, I'm Ludwina Ramwat, your window of opportunity, hoping to be elected as your vice president to make the best campus life a reality. Thank you.
Thank you, Ludwina, for the wonderful introductory speech. To all our live viewers out there watching at home, once again, if you would like to find out more information regarding our candidates, their detailed manifestos, and what they're fighting for, please don't hesitate to visit our Instagram page at Taylor's Uni SC to view all relevant information for this year's elections.
Again, without wasting any more time, let us move on to the most awaited session of the night, which is the debate session. For context, the candidates were given the debate topic one day prior for them to prepare ahead and provide their stand. So today's debate topic for the vice presidential candidates is equality in a diverse and international institution is not always easy to achieve. What efforts would you take to ensure fairness, and in what ways can TUSC be utilized as a platform that unifies, embraces, and represents the Taylorian community while instilling a sense of belonging? In the same manner, what do you as a leader bring to this position that will help promote this culture within the students around you? Let us now hear Elisha's take on the debate topic for today. Elisha, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Nandita. Let me start with a fun fact here for our upcoming committee members in TUSC. Do you know that 12 of the 24 members in council are international students? So we have representation here at council. And this brings great input and value to the decisions we make as council. Of course, let me reaffirm that equality is not always easy to achieve, especially with such a diverse university as ours. But this shouldn't be an excuse. As I just mentioned, we have representation here at council, with half of our members being international students. Their input in our decision making will be crucial in providing equality and fairness. As I also mentioned in my speech, we need to provide students with the space to improve their university lives. So in what ways do we ensure fairness? Let me just say, my definition of fairness may differ from the moderator's definition of fairness. Therefore, it is hard to find one solution that fit all in addressing this issue of fairness. But here's my take on this. I believe that we need to provide equal opportunity to everyone. We must provide an equal opportunity for everyone with all our events and initiatives. This is similar to what we are doing currently at TUSC, where our feedback and evaluation form is open for all students to fill in so that they can bring up to us issues they are currently facing in the university. And also some of our events, like student assembly, is open for all students to join regardless of whether they are local or international. And also I want to propose here 2 town hall sessions in our term where we update students on initiatives, programs, response to issues, and also to hear the students' problems. I believe through this, we were able to increase fairness and make sure all students are heard. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Elisha. So now, Ludwina, the floor is yours for you to provide your stance on the topic for today.
All right, thank you, Nandita, and also Elisha on your input there. For me personally, when given this debate topic, ensuring fairness and utilizing TUSC as a platform that unifies, embraces, and represents the Taylorian community, while instilling a sense of belonging, I was truly delighted to have this vehemently important yet not widely discussed topic to be brought up in this speech and debate day, as it also aligns very well with my manifestos, as was thoroughly considered in my speech previously. So to provide insight and background story, I'm an international student myself, born and raised in Jakarta, Indonesia, and I'm here now pursuing my study in Taylors. Now, this may not be considered something rare as of this moment, considering the fact that there are now an abundance of international students and students who come from different religions, races, ages, sexualities, and more, especially as what Elisha has pointed out just now, even in council, there are quite a lot of representation from international students in the council itself. For a fact, there are over 240 Indonesian students joining Taylor's this August 2022 intake. And this accounts for almost 10% of the entire number of students entering Taylor's University this intake. Keep in mind that these are only international students. So you can see the big picture of how much there are in terms of diversity here. But despite the pool of diversity, it's unfortunate to see that we still have quite a long step away from equality and university here. As an international student, I realized this issue definitely, and this gap and boundary that builds and widens among the majority and the minority. Thus, being a part of TUSC, one of the most prestigious student bodies in Taylor's University, whose acronym itself stands for Unity, which brings all students together despite any differences, it's an extremely crucial opportunity that must not be taken for granted to carve the path towards unity. How can TUSC be utilized as this platform of unity specifically? Well, for starters, it's being utilized right now. Being given the chance to bring this issue to light in a major event like this creates awareness, even if it might seem minuscule. Besides that, we can encourage and have more collaborations with clubs and tailors, for example, cultural societies, international societies, spiritual connectivity, and even special interest clubs, or through collaborations with external parties, such as student bodies from different universities out of Malaysia, which has already been done through TUSC's Mini Link Up, which I'm excited to see this continue on in the near term.
All right, thank you so much, Ludwina, for providing your take on the topic for today. So now I'd actually like to pass the floor to Elisha. You can either agree, disagree, or add on further to what Ludwina has mentioned earlier.
I'd like to agree with stance Ludwina has brought here, where this only further illustrates that we are such a diverse university, and therefore we need to take steps to embrace the diversity and work together to bring the university closer. We need to allow students to talk their problems out, whether they are facing. We can create awareness. As I said in my speech also, we need to provide opportunities for students to get together from different cultures, different international places. They need to come together and join events and be able to mingle around and learn to feel included. And we also need to hear the voices of students, as I reiterated in my manifesto, where we can unite students by listening to them and taking what they have to say into consideration through a town hall session that I've proposed. We also need to create events that embrace the diversity at Taylor's, like the cultural event I proposed, where all students get together for a cultural day or something that we can have, like we can provide various food options, traditional games, and other exciting stuff that will help promote the feeling of belonging for all international students and also local students to embrace this diversity we have here in TLS. We can also use our social media platform to host short interview sessions where students get to listen in on people talking about their university life and how they make the most of it. Finally, we can also embrace further on our long-term project called Humans of Tailors, where students share their touching stories. This is a way we can use to embrace them. If you haven't checked them out, go check them out now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Elisha. So, Veena, I would also like to give you the same opportunity to either agree, disagree, or add on further to what Elisha has mentioned.
All right, thanks, Nandita. I truly agree with what Elisha said. I feel that even looking back at TUSC's past term, we have really tried our best in terms of trying to expose the students, especially for international students, and also try to celebrate all this diversity, all the different mix of cultures, so that everyone is well aware of these stuff. So I would just like to add on and address the second question. I, as a leader running to be elected as the vice president of TUSC, can promote this culture within students around through the simple means of contact and exposure. So I've read somewhere that we can focus on equity. Equity which will not be accomplished through simply treating everyone equally, but more through actions which are adjusted according to the circumstances of each individual or group. And being an international student has definitely helped me to realize and experience these different challenges firsthand. Thus, being able to identify and realize these specific issues can aid in the productivity and effectiveness of talking and exposing students to awareness. Why I feel that this is important is because it's very easy for everyone to say that we wish for awareness and we wish for equality to international students or maybe for other minority groups. But what really this equality means is not putting everyone in the same level, but more so to cater certain services or certain help towards those groups that require more aid. So besides that, I'll also feel like it touches on my other manifesto, which is providing support for international students. So back again to my previous point, it actually aligns with this if I use the example of having informative booklets, which include important context, guides, and etc. So this specialized booklet, which I propose, targets international students venturing independently to a new country and is an example of equity, which adjusts their actions according to one circumstance. So why was this booklet that I proposed? Why would I say this is targeted to international students? Well, I think what the president candidates and even Elisha and I have already touched on before is that international students who come to Malaysia, especially in this orientation, we feel lost in the start. We don't know what is the first step to go to. Where do we go to for visa renewal? Where do we go to for any visa issues or any health checkups and sort? So these type of, I would say, basic questions should be directly addressed. And that's something that we can do as the student council. By having a lot of representatives in the student council itself, we should be able to voice this out and actually put it out there to help this certain minority group. That's all.
Thank you so much, Veena, for that very in-depth answer. So before moving on, I'd just like to check with Elisha. Would you like to add on any more further points?
Actually, would like to add a few points regarding this topic with how we as a leader can promote this culture within the students around us. So I believe that we can do it by using it in few different steps. First, we need to work on our approachability. We need to be able to be willing to be approached by anyone for discussion. As I've also mentioned in my manifesto before, by being the voice for all Taylorians. We must also take time to approach people both formally and informally to engage in discussion. What I mean by formally is engaging with international clubs and societies formally to find their problems the students are facing, their club members are facing, and informally by just talking to students over a meal or anything like that. Secondly, I believe we need to provide direction. We need to talk to members in council to take up this initiative where we embrace diversity and be an example to all Taylorians. Then we also need to provide opportunity for everyone to engage before decision making. Here we'll have a diverse council. So we need to use this as our tool to make good decisions. And we also need to hear the voice of all students, your voices through a town hall session that I am proposing. And finally, we must also be able to always learn because no one is perfect, neither am I. I'm a student just like all of you. But I can promise you this, that I'll always be on the ground ready to learn.
Okay, thank you so much, Elisha. So, Veena, actually, I would like to ask you a question. So, earlier on, Elisha provided a very interesting fact on how there are 12 international students within TUSC itself and how their input is very important in making decisions in TUSC. So, I would just like to ask you, do you have any plans on increasing the number of international students or diversify the representation within the council?
Definitely. I feel like I'm maybe talking for Elisha as well. We definitely would welcome this certain sort of diversity in the council, because if we are standing here and promoting all this equality and stuff, and in the end we get a lot of international students going into council and we say no, that would, for lack of a better word, I would think that's kind of hypocritical, right? Because through all that we fight for, all that we strive for in our manifestos, I feel that definitely diversity is welcomed, and it already is there in Taylor's. It's just that sometimes it may be viewed as a bad thing, which we are trying our best to get rid of, I would say.
Okay, thank you so much, Veena. So, Elisha, I would just like to ask you. So, you mentioned a lot on having town hall meetings to update students regarding any ongoing issues. So, I would just like to ask you, how would you ensure that students would actually want to take part or participate in these town hall meetings? Do you have any interesting or new ways or initiatives to carry out these town hall meetings?
Yes. Firstly, I think to get a rough number of students who would want to join, we of course need to have like registration forms, and firstly, before the registration form even, we need to carry out things like survey on issues that students are facing. Then we need to compile these issues, and then we create this registration form saying we'll have a town hall where we'll use this platform to discuss certain things that our students are facing, but also our initiatives and what we have already done to embrace diversity and all our programs here at Taylor's. And also on how to promote this, right? I was thinking about it. We can do it physically, because as students move back to physical, there'll be a lot of students here on campus. And this is a great platform for us to go and talk to them, get them to join us. And also, while we are moving physical, I also believe that we can still continue with our social media advertising. But what I think we can improve on is we can use paid promotion on Instagram, where we'll be able to provide in our own range of Taylor's University. Students will be able to view our sponsored posts. So this is one way we can increase engagement also, I would feel. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Elisha. So the next question actually can be answered by both of you, but maybe Veena, you can answer first. So what are some of the improvements that you'd want to do differently in terms of helping the fairness and equality issues that are currently ongoing within the Taylorian community right now?
All right, I feel that this sort of aligns with all that has been discussed beforehand, whereby just initiatives that TUSC can hold, such as events or certain talks, individually. As students, we can also just reach out to everyone, talk and mingle, and just try to not have this gap between any majority or the minority group. So those are such things. And really, by having events, it doesn't only have to be certain cultural events which expose students to different cultures. That definitely helps. But I feel that something else that we can do, which we are already doing, is to directly connect with people who are from different backgrounds, such as in Unilever, where we actually do talk with people outside of Taylor's, who are, say, from different countries, so that we directly get their input, we directly get their stance, we directly get their point of view to see and to reflect in TUSC itself. What can we do, or what can we identify so that we can cater to Taylorians? How can we, I would say, abolish or eliminate any certain discrimination between the Taylorian community? Yeah.
All right, thank you, Veena. So Elisha, you may have the floor as well to provide your take.
I totally agree with what Veena has said with how we can approach the situation. I also just want to add just one thing. We can have an event where we collaborate with international clubs and societies. So that means we collaborate with mainly international clubs and societies, and also local students can join as well. It's not only meant for international students, because we are wanting to embrace diversity and fairness, right? We want all students be able to join, and by only integrating local and international students, will they even be able to diversify themselves and learn to enjoy themselves? And also, we can just readily use what we have in our feedback and evaluation form also, where we give them a fair opportunity to list out their problems. That's all from me.
All right, thank you so much to the both of you for your answer. So actually, this will be the last question for the debate session. So focusing on international students, there are many claims saying that international students often feel unincluded and consistently face ongoing issues that have not been addressed previously. So being in a position of leadership, how would you change or enhance our system to better accommodate these international students? Maybe Rina, you can go first.
All right, thank you, Nandita. Something that we can definitely do is to firstly use our platform to make the students aware of any certain services that can cater to their issues, such as maybe the international office or student welfare. But we can extend that effort by actually talking to the officials in the IO or student welfare, by actually understanding there's certain types of processes that international students can go through, because that will really help us to directly help the students itself. Because even though there are international student representatives in the council, it is definitely the best solution or the best action to go to the core itself, which are these representatives who handle the international students. So that is something that we can do. And I feel that we can, as much as we do promote that we want to prioritize everyone's welfare, these type of issues, like for international students with visa and all, are considered in that circle of welfare that we want to focus on. It's just that sometimes it may not be super highlighted, but I think that's something that we also can do, whereby we can provide such information and make it accessible, maybe through Instagram, as I believe TUSC has already done before, especially with helping students on guides on how or where they should go to when they just first came into Malaysia, which I think is very helpful as an international student myself last time. And yeah, just having these similar type of processes and also just extending it and finding out everyone's entire opinion will be the best course of action, in my opinion. That's all.
Okay, thank you so much, Rina. So Elisha, you may provide your answer as well.
Right. So I agree with Rina's point here about making students aware of the issues we have. So what we can also allow students to do is reach out to us through our social media, direct message on Instagram, Facebook, or any of that sort. So we can help them to get the right help. We can lead them to the right management department with whatever issues they are facing. Then we can help raise the issue during our meeting with management to help them to understand their take on this, on the issues that the international students are facing. Finally, we'll also have to update the students on the results of the discussion, because they need to be able to understand what was the results of the discussion.
Okay, thank you so much, Elisha, and thank you so much, Rina, as well, for your very in-depth answers for the debate topic for today. So that wraps up the debate session for the vice presidential candidate, and it is now time to proceed to the Q&A session. To the viewers watching at home, there will be a Slido link sent in the chat box, regardless if you're watching through Facebook Live or YouTube Live. You may click into the Slido link and drop your questions for the candidates. And to the candidates, we'll just give a couple of minutes before we actually proceed to the Q&A session.
All right, so we'll begin with the Q&A session now. So we'll start with the first question. It's actually the top rated question. So this question goes to Wina. So Wina, you focused on being an international student a lot previously. What else can you offer? And will you only focus on international students and minorities? What about the majority?
All right, I'll go about this question in two ways. Firstly, yes, I do talk about how I'm an international student. I feel like that was sort of my point in the speech and also in the debate because it did align with that. But I would not say that I will only focus on international students or minorities. That is for sure. That is something that I really covered in my debate, whereby I said equity and equality. I feel that these two follow along each other, whereby we focus on the entire group, but the support and solutions to the equality of the entire group is different, and it caters towards each group specifically depending on their own circumstances. So the majority definitely will not be left behind. Why is it that we focused on the minority just now? It's because that is something that we need to raise, something that needs to be discussed more and ventured more. But of course, as TUSC, our main priority is the welfare of all the students. So by all the students, it means including international students and all the local students. So this means the majority. But to address the other question, what else can I offer besides really being focused on being an international student is I believe that I do hold a lot of experience here in Taylor's from holding positions such as in the Taylor's College Student Council and also in School of Biosciences. What these help besides experience is connections. Why these connections itself are important is because as student council who focus on the welfare of students, we really need to get in depth. Yes, we do have the feedback and inquiries form, but as was discussed, I would say in the presidential candidate speech just now, it was having the feedback and inquiries form, not that many people fill it up. Maybe they would think that it's quite hard to fill or there is too much to fill, especially if they only have a small inquiry or concern that they want to reach out to us. So by going directly to these students, by having these connections, they can deliver their problems to us and we can help them. Oh, we have this feedback and inquiries form. If you have any sort of issues, any sort of concerns or anything that you want to clarify on how to fill this form, we can be the people who directly help this out to you. So that is sort of an example of these connections itself. And something else that is important is that with this, with knowing a lot of people, not even just international students, knowing a lot of local students, this sets an example of integration. We're able to talk to people, we're able to engage with them, make a lot of friends, which I would say is part of the university life. And that is something, of course, we would want to have the Taylorians, especially the new students here, to have. So if I myself wish for a campus life or a university life where it's filled with friends, clubs and societies, all these experiences, and even making sure that the welfare of these students are prioritized, then I would want the same for you students, which is sort of the reason why I'm running for this position again, to ensure that that goal can be achieved. Yep, that's all.
Okay, thank you so much, Wina, for your answer. So I'll move on to the next question. So this goes out to the both of you, actually. Maybe we can start with Elisha first. So how do you plan to create a positive working relationship with the president while ensuring effective communication in order to properly represent TUSC? Elisha, the floor is yours.
Thank you for this question. It's a very good question. I'd like to say what we normally do here at Council to improve working experience is what we call welfare night, where we come together as Council to chill, just learn more about each other, play games, have fun. And this is more of a session where we are able to share what we have and learn from each other. And as to how this will provide with effective this one, right? I believe that I'll allow the president to be the face of TUSC because he is the face of TUSC to most Delorians. We will be there as the backbone to support the president. With an illustration where we have a whole body, right? But not all the parts of the body work to do the same thing. But it's all important at the end to find the functioning of our daily life. So that's how, although I'll not be the person at center talking to everyone, I'll be there to support the president and give him points on issues that he may face. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Elisha, for your answer. Weena, you can go next.
Thank you, Mikal. For my stance, I feel that I really agree with what Elisha is saying, especially where we would have to support the presidents, even though we may not directly be the front and center. We are definitely holding these sort of responsibilities, as well as even our fellow council members, where we would have to support the president because we're all viewed as TUSC, as one family. But besides that, how do I plan to create a positive working relationship with the president? I feel that whoever becomes the president, we would have quite a great working bond there, because even though we are not in the same department here in TUSC, I feel that we have connected so far, especially through certain exposures and through, I wouldn't say hangouts, but through certain events that we go to. All of this, even though we may be the new term and it might seem a little awkward and stiff in the beginning, I feel that time is the solution to everything. Having exposures, having just talks and everything with president will help all of these out. Because yes, we do come from all different courses, all different departments, but we shouldn't let that be something that stops us from creating a relationship with the president, especially because this is something that we have to focus on. As the vice president, as president, we will definitely work closely with each other, especially like what Mikal and Nandita here are doing now, which are setting a great example. So from all that, that's what we wish for. I wish for working a great working relationship with the president, and yeah, I feel that there's something that can be done. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Weena and Elisha, for your answers. So I'll move on to the next question. So this is directed to Elisha. So Elisha, do you think Weena can fulfill the VP role more than you in the aspects where Weena has more experience?
Thank you for the question. Although Veena has more experience and all that, I believe that experience counts. But at the end, we also need to remember that we need a new direction. What we are used to is moving towards online events for the last 2 years. But we need a new direction with physical events. We need new engagement opportunities. We need new things to think about. A lot of these questions needs to be answered. And I believe that we both are fairly similar in the things that we are more used towards online. And as for experience, we both need to improve on how we engage with physical events. That's what I would say.
All right. Thank you very much, Elisha. So I'll move on to the next question. So the next question is actually directed to Weena again. So Weena, you said that Indonesian students equate for 10% of the students, and that is a large number. So what can you offer for other ethnicities and students?
All right, thank you, Mikal, for the question. Yes, this 10% of Indonesian students is definitely a large number, but what was the reason that I included that in my debate? Is simply just to show all of you this certain number, this statistics on why we say that there are a lot of international students. Because without this number, you wouldn't really be able to picture this, right? But it does not mean that other ethnicities are not important as such. It's just for a use of example, I would say. But what can be done for the other ethnicities or cultures that are not Indonesian? It's definitely going to be the same. TUSC would not target anything specific to Indonesians only if what we see is all of these ethnicities are having problems. For example, let's say I as an Indonesian know that Indonesians are suffering with visa problems. We should use that knowledge to think, oh, would other international students view this problem? If yes, then we can go to the core. We can ask the students maybe like, oh, are you facing these certain issues? Or we can simply ask our own student council representatives if that is needed, and then we shall tackle this issue. So it's not that it's focusing to a certain ethnicity or group, no, but again, it's to focus on the welfare of all the students, except the solutions that is catered to all these students may be different depending on the circumstances. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Weena. So again, I will now pose a question to the both of you, but perhaps maybe we can hear from Elisha first. So what is your unique selling point and how does it best benefit the council, the university, and as well as the students? Elisha?
Thank you. I believe my unique selling point would be my approachability. This is because I feel I'm able to approach people easily. And I think this is very important in learning about the problems students have, what they need to understand. By only being able to be approached, will we be able to know of their issues. And also I have passion to serve. We can go on a lot about experience and all that, but without the passion to serve here, we will not be able to fully immerse ourselves in doing our work. And finally, I believe I'm dedicated. I think a lot about the issues we have here at Taylor's. Let me just say, once this debate session is over, I'll go around thinking how I could have answered these questions better. That's how dedicated I am, I feel. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Elisha. Over to you, Weena.
All right, thanks, Mikal. I actually agree with what Elisha said. To be honest, I, as a person myself, yes, I do say that I have all these experiences, but as a person, it's easy for you to say, oh, I have that title. I can just stop there. But why is it that I'm still pushing myself to go through elections, to wanting to join more clubs, to wanting to get to know more people? Is because I still want to learn and I still want to grow as a person. If you saw me last year, I would say that you would think I'm a totally different person. And from that growth itself, that I proved my passion in that sense. I proved the passion of wanting to improve myself and therefore wanting to improve myself to help the council and to help other groups so that we can help the entire university and help the entire students. So besides that, I would say I'm also perseverant. It goes along with what I said before, but in simple sense, you can say that if there's an issue in an event, I wouldn't take it as something that will put me down, but more so to think of a way to bounce back through it. As what Elisha said, after this debate, we'll think about more how we could better present ourselves, right? So that's something that I believe we all can do. That's something that we should do, especially as a leader. And yeah, I would say that it is true that experience does help, but I'm still willing to grow and I'm still here to wanting to connect with more people, wanting to see what other boundaries that I can push. So that's my unique selling point, I would say.
All right, thank you very much, Weena and Elisha. So the next question is directed towards Weena. So Weena, though former presidential experience is an asset, how do you ensure that you are actually capable, not just because you have it?
All right, thank you, Mikal. Yes, I agree. I really understand why this question was asked, and I believe that it was also touched on with what I have said previously, whereby experience and having that, I would say, presidential title does seem like I do have something, but how am I able to prove that I'm capable? Well, first of all, I would say that if we weren't capable, this goes for Elisha, I would say that we wouldn't have been given the opportunity to stand here to be your future vice president of Taylor's University Student Council. And besides that, I would just like to go a little bit personal here. I try my very best to manage my time. Holding different positions, trying my best to keep my academics up there and also spending time with family and friends, it does seem like quite a lot. But it's very easy to actually go down a loophole and all this, but being able to actually manage my time and go over everything, that is what is important, and that is what I have been successfully doing, in my opinion. So that's how I proved that I'm capable, because even in TUSC itself, I'm holding quite a number of projects all at once. And I didn't really realize how crazy it was until someone pointed it out to me and was like, Nina, are you doing okay? You're actually handling quite a lot. And I was like, oh, I am. But that just shows that I feel that I am able to manage my time really well, to the point where I can achieve the best quality work and achieve the best service or help that student council can give to the students.
Okay, thank you very much, Veena, for your answer. So moving on, I'll actually pose this question to Elisha. So Elisha, you are considered a new member of a council here at Taylor's University, as opposed to Veena having prior experience in a council here at Taylor's. So this question would just like to know, how are you planning to quickly adapt and take up such an important role, such as vice president?
I believe, thank you for the question. I believe this, how you can do this is by always asking questions. You can do this by, I've always asked Nandita questions about things to do, and also in my events with the campus welfare department that I'm currently in, I'm always there to ask the questions to the PM, APMs, the head of departments of each event on what's necessary to do. And I've also learned that you need to be ready to learn. You need to be ready to make mistakes, because no one is perfect. You learn by the mistakes you make, and that only makes you stronger. So I think, although I'm new, I believe that this can help me also. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Eliza. So we'll move on to the final question. And this question is actually from myself. So I'll actually pose this question to the both of you. So maybe we can have Elisha first on this question. So my question is, what makes you stand out more than your other vice presidential candidate? So Elisha, you may go first.
Can you please repeat the question? Sorry.
Okay. The question is, what makes you stand out more as the vice presidential candidate as opposed to your opponent?
I believe, okay, thank you for the question. So what makes me stand out, I believe it's, like once again, my approachability. I'm able to be approached by anyone, talking and all that. And also my passion to serve. If you see, I've always been there to join all the programs we have here at TUSC. I've always been able to manage my time with studies, other club works, and also use that to my benefit. So I believe that will help.
Okay, thank you very much, Elisha. And finally, we'll go to Veena.
Thank you, Mikal. Something that I feel that puts me out there and what makes me stand out, aside from Elisha, who's my fellow vice presidential candidate, I feel that it goes without saying that there is experience, as I have already mentioned, which I feel that it does play a big part, especially holding positions here in Taylor's. It means I'm able to really understand the details, or like how certain things or certain clubs, certain managements work in Taylor's, which will definitely help there, being a prestigious student body here in Taylor's University. But besides that, I would also say that I'm perseverant and I'm willing to grow. And all these would definitely help with the council. How are we able to push through any setbacks, or how are we able to view a certain feedback into something that we can use to further improve ourselves? That is something that I can see, or that I do for myself, and I also wish to do for the council itself. Does not matter on which position it is that I will end up in the next term. So yeah, that's all.
All right, thank you so much, Veena and Elisha. And once again, thank you to all the people that have input your questions for the candidates. So unfortunately, that marks the end of the Q&A session for today for Elisha and Ludwina, and also the end of today's speech and debate session. Just a reminder to everyone watching that voting will commence at the end of this week. So do follow us on our Instagram page at Taylor's Uni SC to stay updated on everything elections, and we will be having future events with our candidates over here as well. So stay tuned for that. All right, so before we wrap up the vice presidential speech and debate session, let us invite the candidates once again to give their final words before voting starts at the end of this week. So we'll start with Elisha first. Elisha, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mikal. So to everyone watching, thank you so much for tuning in to hear my take on the speech and debate session. I want to also take this time to thank all the council members at TUSC for supporting my candidacy for the vice president post. Thank you for believing in me when I doubted myself. And finally, if my manifesto aligns with what you believe in, and if you believe in me, vote EP for VP, and let's all work together to truly rise with the best. I am Elisha Paulraj, and I am your candidate for vice president. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Elisha, for your speech and wishing you a great campaign ahead. I will now pass the floor to Ludwina to give her closing speech.
All right, once again, thank you, Mikal. I would just like to keep my closing speech short and sweet, but before that, I would like to thank everyone here who have been watching this live stream and for everyone who has supported me thus far. To sum up my entire speech, I would like to remind all of you that if elected as the Vice President of TUSC, I will be inclusive by embracing unity and diversity, reach out for awareness, and become a solution-centric council. If you believe in my manifestos and wish to see them come to life, then begin with Lina on our journey towards your best campus life. Vote for me, Ludwina Rumat, your window of opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ludwina, for your closing speech. And thank you, Elisha, as well. We wish you all the best in your campaigns moving forward. And to wrap things up for the vice presidential session, I'll now pass the floor back to Nandita.
Thank you, Mikal. So that wraps up the speech and debate session for both the president and vice president candidates. We'd like to thank all the candidates for giving it their all for tonight. We'd also like to take this opportunity to thank all the viewers who tuned in for the session, be it on YouTube Live, Facebook Live, or even those watching after this whole live stream has ended. We really hope this session helped you understand the candidates better and to choose who you'd like to see as your vice president and president in the future. Once again, we'd like to remind everyone that the voting commences on the 26th of August, which is this Friday, up till the 2nd of September 2022. So please do cast your votes on who you'd like to see as your future president and vice president for Taylor's University Student Council for the term 2022-2023. We will also be having the second speech and debate session for the three directors, which are Director of Campus Integration, Director of Campus Welfare, and Director of Campus Relations happening tomorrow, which is Wednesday at 8 p.m. It will go in the order of Campus Integration, Campus Relations, and Campus Welfare. We hope to see you all there tomorrow. That is all for today. Thank you so much for tuning in.